Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all doing well. And today, my friends, we're back with a showdown between the Chinese, who shall be led by FTW Cheese, facing off against the Abbasid Dynasty. It's going to be led by Sim Tom, who usually plays the English in my events, but quite excited to see what the Abbasid and Chinese can do here. So as far as the map goes, I believe this is going to be Lipany. So this is basically dry Arabia with a couple of hills on the flanks, if I'm not mistaken. It's either Lipany or, yeah, it's definitely not High View. High View is the one that has like a ton of like shrouded forests. Granted, this one does have one in the middle, but certainly not as extreme. So as far as the Chinese up in the northwest, it looks like they're going to be going for a mill opening, or a taxation opening as I like to call it. So essentially what you do, you build a mill, you gather your sheep at said mill, you build a supervisor, and the supervisor collects taxes. So instead of having to mine gold, like you normally would to advance to the next age, you can kind of play Chinese like how the Rus are played, right? Rus don't really have to overextend and mine gold. They can play very tight to their base, and they can just kind of do something similar to this. So the way that taxes work for the Chinese, every single time a villager drops off a resource or has a drop off here at the building, it is going to be giving you 1 gold. So over the course of a long period of mining, these bad boys are going to be generating a ton of gold, and the officials can essentially grab a maximum of 20 gold per run. So what you want to do is wait till you hit 20, grab the gold, rinse and repeat. There is a cooldown though, you can't like spam grab it. So for example, if there were like, let's say 500 gold in this mill, the official isn't going to be able to rapid fire grab that and bring it back to your base. There is a cooldown on how often he can collect taxes from each building. So you want to kind of try and do it as efficiently as you can. So yeah, you get the lumber mill, you get the mill here, and that is going to be allowing you to get taxes, which the official can collect. And that basically gives you the 200 gold you need to advance. And it's pretty efficient too, because you also get your wood. Normally these 3 workers would be up on gold right now, so you wouldn't have the wood when you advance to the second age. Therefore, your stables would be slower. You wouldn't be able to get the expert scouts going faster. That is why the build is so sweet. Although it looks like there might be a little bit of a gold operation going, like just a minor investment in that. Now for the Abbasid down here, they're going to be going for a mill. So the mill opening for them is pretty good because their berry bushes, just like the Delhi Sultanate, have extra food. So 500 of 250. You can see here they have the bonus. And I believe that the Abbasid as well as the Delhi Sultanate do gather berry bushes quicker, which I think is quite cool. House of Wisdom coming up, nothing terribly crazy here. Gold is being mined by the Abbasid. Both players going to be getting to the second age in a relatively reasonable pace here. Looks pretty cool to me. And yeah, setting up a gold mining operation, interesting. So it looks like taxes are being collected back at the base. But again, there is a better lumber economy than you normally would see. So this is kind of like a hybrid variant of the taxation build. Some of them will simply not get gold at all, and some will. Sometimes you even see a double official come out to like just supervise both these buildings and maximize resources. But I think that the single official, and then when you get to the second age, the feudal ages, I think that's the better time to get more officials. But it'd be quite interesting to see. Like China obviously has a bunch of good builds. You could do Zhugnu rushes, you could do Song Boom, you could do 2CC Song Boom, 1TC Fast Castle Song Boom. There's all sorts of crazy builds that you can do with China. And I really do think that once we eventually see the nerfs to the Rus and the Mongols, I think that China, as well as I think Delhi will actually be really good too when they get their win rate fixed. Not their win rate fixed, when they get their bugs fixed. Because Delhi and HRE, the fact that they can't brace with spears makes it very annoying for them to deal with early cavalry pressure, especially from civilizations like the French and the Rus, who do, of course, have the early knights. It can be very obnoxious to face. But looks like they're going to be teching up for the Abbasid. It's going to be the economic wing, so this is going to be going for the fresh foodstuffs, which does reduce the cost to produce villagers by 50%. Which is pretty much the best thing that the Abbasid have. And it really makes the double TC even more cost effective, right? Because you're producing twice as many villagers, all of whom are really benefiting from this research, which is going to be pumping them down to a minus 50% on the cost, putting them at 25 food. So Abbasid can be a little bit slower on food. And yeah, like that's the thing. Like most civs are going to be going for expert scouts. It looks like based on the build that China is going to be doing as expert scouts with the kind of mill setup here and the supervisor, very, very standard to go get all the deer. What's awesome is expert scouts or pro scouts, you can finish it in 200% faster with China by having your supervisor. So they're one of the best tips for expert scouts. I think the French are really good too because they get school of cavalry. So that is going to be allowing them to, of course, get the scouts right away without having to build a stable. Rus are probably the best hands down at expert scouts, but China can do a very good job. So it looks like it's going to be 2TC versus 2TC. Yeah, I think it's going to be a Song build. I do like the barbecue of the sun here. Granted, Abbasid, I think when the game first came out, they were a very aggressive civ because the Abbasid do get the free siege engineering. So basically they can get battering rams really, really quickly. But the meta has really shifted for them to take advantage of the fresh foodstuffs, which of course I think is one of their strongest mechanics. So Both players just gathering sheep. Looks like just kind of dropping them off as they do. Nothing terribly crazy going on with the scouts here. The new age has begun, and the fresh foodstuffs I'm sure will be starting as soon as possible. Does he have enough gold for this? Yeah, he does. So Simtom certainly knows. When you're playing with the Abbasid, before you switch your workers over to stone for the second TC, you want to make sure you have 325 when you're teching up, so you can start this fresh foodstuffs like instantly. Let's go ahead and see if he's doing it. He hasn't started it quite yet, but I'm sure he will. And there it is. So yeah, very, very quick response. Very well played. The Chinese, are we going to be seeing any song play? Looking at the banked resources, it's going to be a while before the food kicks in. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a 2 TC first. He left basically 4 on food, which is good, because that gives you enough to keep producing villagers. But yeah, going to be focusing on the second TC before getting the song, and that'll be good. And of course, then from there, he'll probably unlock song and just go for probably one of the most powerful booms in the game. It's crazy good. So the Song Dynasty, if you take a look for the Chinese, does reduce the villager production time by 35%. So it's pretty insane how many villagers China can pump out. It's really, really good. Although I think that like even 2 TC, like if we're just talking about booms or basically economic, pushes that are being left unimpeded. So let's just say like nobody's interfering with you. I still think the strongest one of the game probably is going to be the Mongol Silver Tree. If you just let them get like mass trade like that, like the amount of traders they can get is just disgusting. I think that might be one of the strongest ones in the game. So the reason why you're seeing your town center being set up so far away from the base, even though Abbasid want to be setting up like tight, right, for the Golden Age, is because he's setting it up on the deer camp. This is very common because if your opponents do come with their scouts and try and take the deer, well, you're going to be able to garrison in there and also mine these deer out. So then you're kind of taking them away from your opponent. I see this is very, very common, especially with English. English love to do this against the professional scout civs. So, yep, they're going to be going for the food here, which is quite nice. And also there's other resources nearby. There's more berry bushes. There's a stone outcropping. There's lots of good stuff they could be doing. Now, is there any military infrastructure being set up for either player? I don't think so. China does have the double TC, and I kind of like what Cheese is doing. I like the fact that he's not going for expert scouts. He's doing something a little bit different. He's like setting up farms here. He's got his sheep, and he's going to be going for like a very, very different build, which again, is going to make this like investment into the kind of proxy town center here a little bit less solid. Granted, it's still a good call because expert scouts is so meta. I think this is the intuitive and smart play to do. So very, very well played there. Some more villagers coming down to hustle and help with these deer camps. Maybe good to be setting up a mill near these berry bushes. Not quite sure what their plans are. The scouts are just kind of waving at each other saying, hey man, what's up? No, it's all good. Fighting hasn't started yet. And now we are going to be getting the Song Boom, or the Sonic Boom as I like to call it. So the Imperial Academy is going to be coming out. It's hitting the mining camp, but it's not hitting the mill here. So a little bit of a slightly off positioning. Not a huge deal, but if it had been built a little bit further south, it could have hit the mill, which would have generated more taxes at that building. It's not the end of the world. And I'm sure there'll be some, berry bush activity. Granted, I think the TC will gather that, so who knows. So the Barbican of the Sun, the barbecue, dropping a couple shots, it would appear on the Abbasid cavalry right here. And oh my god, we're getting the dreaded triple TC here, which of course, if somebody's going to be doing it, hey, if you want to try and keep up with the Chinese, who of course just have faster production than you, why not get a third TC? And of course, the Abbasid will be able to save quite a bit of food. Now, looking at income per minute, Cheese is really, really doing quite well in the food department. A large part of that is because he's got the supervisor, right? So he's going to be getting 20% more food than his opponent is for an equal amount of farming. But he does have 11 villagers here. The Abbasid don't have that many on food. They only have 3 right here, and it looks like they're going to be going double stable, which is good. I think the stables are nice because if you're doing a greedy build like this, going for triple TC, you want to put some sort of pressure on your opponent so they're on the back foot, so they're not thinking about pushing you or doing some sort of an all-in or something like that. Even a couple of horsemen like this are probably going to be forcing spears out of the Chinese, although it looks like China is going to be going through the Great Wall. The Great Walmart Wall of China is being set up here, so they are going to be setting that up across to try and prevent the horsemen from getting in. And China, of course, builds very, very quickly, so they might be able to actually cordon off that portion of their base. But, 2 TC China is probably going to be able to keep pace with the triple TC Abbasid. Let's look at the eco so far. So we are rocking 39 villagers here for the Abbasid, and for the Cheese Master, he's at 40, so relatively similar. We'll, of course, keep tabs on that over the course of the game. It looks like one of the spearmen here are going to be hunting down the scout, which is slower. Scouts have 1.62 tile speed, and these guys are 1.88, so the horsemen are the fastest unit in the game, and we'll be able to eventually kill that guy. Granted, it's going to take a hot minute. So some of the horsemen do get in. They get past the Chinese TC, and this is very, very cost effective. This is actually huge. China was really banking on this deer camp right here, but the horsemen, if they just sit here and park away from the TC, China's not really going to be able to do a whole lot here in terms of gathering these food sources. And looking at other food sources, they have a decent little situation here with the partial farm economy. But these horsemen are proving to be huge, really good. Pushing his opponent off the gold vein, also off the deer camp, is really, really strong indeed. Now back down here, let's look at the villager count, see what it's looking like for both players. Cheese at 45, and for Sim Tom, he's at 46. So yeah, pretty much kind of keeping it even. They're both producing nonstop, so it seems like the triple TC can keep up with the double, and it's more or less an even exchange. So a couple of villages being set up as well. And the way it works with Chinese dynasties, you need to build the buildings from the respective dynasty before you advance to the next one. Otherwise, you actually cannot go back and build the previous building. So you need to maximize the number of villages. I've done that many times where I basically forget to build the villages. So Horseman here does have the scout cornered. I'm not sure how he got him here in this this little alcove here, but he's going to be getting punished in the end. And up on the top, we do have more horsemen coming in from Sim Tom as they continue to hunt down and put a little bit of decent pressure on the Chinese, who are actually not even mining gold right now, being very greedy. But it looks like there are going to be spearmen coming out. And what age are they going to be? Yeah, they're Dark Age spearmen right now, but they still probably can fight the horsemen. And yeah, probably want to get 3 or 4 of those, go re-secure your gold. If they could save this mining camp, that'd be nice too. It'd probably save them 50 wood. But look at this, the Great Abbasid Wall. Are they going to be going for trading? Ooh, that'd be really, really cool. If we saw the Castle Age tech be the trade wing, and then they go for the trade, that would be really neat. And this big wall up kind of makes me think that that's maybe going to be happening here. And oh, look at this. We actually have stone walls coming up for the Abbasid. And what that probably means is there's going to be a stone wall tower coming up, which of course is like a ballista tower that's going to be able to kind of poke the Chinese as they try and leave their base. Really, really interesting play here from both players. So the horsemen are running away, and the Chinese going to be going for the clock tower in their base. Will give them a little bit of an artillery advantage, of course. Granted, the Abbasid can build field artillery, and more horsemen piling in, but the spearmen are standing at the ready. Granted, horsemen with good micro can outrun the spearmen pretty easily, and honestly just want to kind of occupy their attention. But yeah, this looks like it's going to be a little bit of a better trade for the Chinese, most likely. I don't think, it looks like one villager went down, and no horsemen ended up going down in the end. So if they can maintain that, then that'll be pretty sweet for sure. Stone walls coming up, the Great Wall of the Abbasid Empire, or is it Abbasid? I think it's Abbasid. I think that's how you properly say it, but again, you guys will have to correct me. Triple archery range, which is the intuitive build, right? Cavalry into archers. It's like rock, paper, scissors. Your opponent gets spears to counter your cavalry. You show up with archers and live long. Man, I really wish camel riders were good. It'd be so cool to see a bunch of camel riders show up, but camel riders, I mean, could work here. They do have a bonus for these type of infantry, so it looks like the horseman maybe get a Zerg there. I don't think so. Cheese does get the faster Castle Age, so he is pretty far ahead on points right now. And in this matchup, it actually is accurate. It's not like the Mongols where it's like buggy. He's doing pretty damn good. And now he's got the clock tower. We could be seeing Nest of Bees, Springalds, all sorts of crazy stuff could be here on the horizon. So more and more horsemen flooding around the map. We do have a batch of 9 horsemen. What are we going to be seeing for the Castle Age here? He's got to be going for it. Yeah, Sim Tom is really low on gold right now, though. He's going to be having to hit the gold pretty hard. It looks like, yeah, he switched a bunch of workers on over to gold, and more archers are moving in. So it looks like the Abbasid might be looking to do some sort of early aggression. He does lose a couple of horsemen over here. And look at this. The stone wall is being built, but the Chinese do rush out. I mean, he's got the partial wall in. Dude, walling him into the base would be so funny. I mean, I guess he can, oh, there's a camel also. Yes. Sign me up for this game. All right, so we got a camel archer coming out. Camel archers do hit very hard against light melee infantry. They do 30 damage, right? So they're able to cut up a spearman very, very quickly. Actually, 3-shot one at the spearman if they don't have any upgrades. So I would imagine the camels will come. Will there be more villagers? And yeah, look at this. He's stonewalling in the Chinese player, which if he can effectively do that, that's going to make China have to invest in quite a bit to bunker bust their way out. Because again, China's probably ahead in many regards right now, of course, having the Castle Age advantage, and now he is going to be going for the culture wing. That is the most normal one, because preservation of knowledge is probably the second strong, one of the stronger buffs here at the House of Wisdom. It reduces the cost of technology by 30%, which when you get Imperial Age and things are costing like 700 gold, this is a freakishly good upgrade. It's very, very strong. So horsemen are here. The Abbasid setting up outposts here in the Forbidden Forest. It looks like here the archers and camels are kind of waiting in the shadows. And more villagers coming in to set up the stone wall, although it looks like there's a dreaded Chinese wolf here putting a little bit of pressure on. Still mining stone, which makes me think maybe the Chinese are going to be able to, or are going to be looking to set up a keep or something. Yeah, maybe in the middle of the map. But here comes the horseman over the top, probably going to be pushing in, but the Chinese are kind of aware of this, or kind of maybe aware that that could happen, and are going to be setting up their walls up here. Might be able to get that, although the horseman might be able to get there before Homeboy is able to finish the walls. We'll see. Ooh, it's going to be very, very close. Depends on which way he goes. Yeah, looks like the villager is going to be able to kind of safely do that. So are the Abbasid going to be pulling more villagers to try and stonewall? It doesn't look like it. Now, in terms of the eco, we do have 87 villagers for Sim Tom, and for the Chinese here and Cheese, we have 74. So the Abbasid have taken the lead in terms of villagers, but a very good Chinese wall up here is going to be preventing the back door. Now, the archers just kind of chilling. Are we going to be seeing Castle Age Siege? We could see like castle age pressure via like instant mangonels or springalds or something like that. Overall, it looks like the horsemen are going to be pulling back. And it seems like the Abbasid do have map control, right? They have like more of a presence on the map. They have outposts being set up in the middle. And Chinese is very, very defensive here, but it doesn't really matter too much. I've seen games where China yields complete map control to their opponent, just turtles in their base, goes fast Imperial, and just wins with their tanks. Of course, tanks being the bombard cannons, which are just absurdly overpowered with their like 1,000 health, and like the fact that they can outrun infantry is just, or at least keep pace with them, is so stupid. I really hope that's something that we do see changed in the game in the near future, but nonetheless, we got the gold miners going. Both players doing pretty good, but SimTom is crushing in terms of most resources. 1,000, 13, 700, 800 here. Outdoing the Chinese on every primary resource except for stone, which of course they do have a little bit of a stone operation here. We got a supervisor on wood, a supervisor on food here, which is good. And China is rocking how many supervisors right now? Let's go and check. They got 4 or 4. 1, 2. Yeah, one of the clock tower is a must. You basically don't need to, because it turns the clock tower into a triple siege engine or siege workshop. So you're getting basically 3 siege workshops worth of production, which is really good. And of course they have the bonus health. So it looks like China's going to be walling off here. I'm curious what they're walling for here, though. There is some wood outcroppings. There's a relic here, but like, I don't know if I like this that much. I mean, it's not giving that much control. The horsemen probably going to be able to come over here and shut that down as well. But here in the middle, the Abbasid with archers and triple camel archer, which is very, very interesting. You almost never see camel archers, so pretty excited to see that. And here we got more archer ranges being set up. Abbasid typically do go very infantry heavy because of their ability to siege engineer. It's nice to have all of those units to just, you know, get those sweet buildings. So both players are in the castle age. Cheese a little bit ahead on score, but again, map control going quite well for the Abbasid. We're getting the Great Stone Wall, which is cutting the Chinese off of the sacred site, off of relics, off of a massive gold node. All China is really going to have access to is this gold node here and this one here, whereas the Abbasid are going to be having access to all these resources out on the open field, which I think could be a pretty big determining factor for sure. But again, China, if they go fast Imperial, get the bombards, looking at the banked resources, let's see, yeah, China is going fast Imperial, so they're going to go for turtle Chinese, which is very strong, right? You just get the upgrades, which are crazy good. Reload drills for 33% faster reload. You, of course, get the extra HP from the clock tower, which gives you 50% more health. On top of that, you do also get the university upgrades, pyrotechnics, which gives them extra damage. And it's just like, or extra range, excuse me. And you just go bananas. So here on the flank, a couple horsemen looking to kind of prod those wooden walls, which is good, just kind of probing. But the Chinese Great Wall is being set up. Oh, you know what I think is probably going to happen? This actually makes sense to me right now. I think Cheese is going to be going for trade. He's probably going to be setting up markets up here and doing trade across the map, which even if he doesn't have map control, good trade can, of course, make up for gold mining elsewhere on the map. So I do like that. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense now. If he is indeed planning that, we'll see. So Hardened Spearmen move in. It looks like the veteran horsemen of the Abbasid are finally going to be kind of pushed off here as... will they get the villager? It looks like they might pile in and get that villager. Nope, it's going to get back into the spears, and a couple more horsemen will pay the price. Overall, looks like the age of the horseman harass has passed, but the Abbasid do have a lot of archers, and they actually have the best basic archers in the game because of the composite bows and the boot camp. So they get faster attack speed as well as additional health. So China's going to be under a little bit of pressure now. There's Lancers, yeah, so Lancers and Archers, a pretty good army comp. I really like it quite a bit. And China's going to be on the back foot. They're going to be getting pressed. We do have double nest of bees, which should be pretty good against this. But Abbasid do look to have some preemptive spring ults to try and counter this type of play. And man, he's just going hard in the paint on those clock tower nest of bees. Which, I mean, could be good, but man, triple battering ram as well. This is going to be some big aggression. So here come the Lancers. Is there anything to protect these clock towers right now? I mean, villagers can obviously repair them. So good play there by Cheese. He's able to kind of repair that and poke those guys back. But overall, I mean, if the Abbasid do want to build a bunch of spring ults, that could be quite nasty. It looks like there is a spring ult placement here in this tower, so very, very well played there. But again, map control, 100% going to the Abbasid. China's trying its best to get, you know, these little forward pushes. Really, really good supervisor play here, giving the extra gold. But overall, I mean, I think this is going to get punished. Yeah, here you can see kind of a bit of a split push coming in. So they are pushing up here with battering rams. The artillery can't be everywhere at once. And here they are going to be able to torch this outpost, and a lot of eco damage is being done. Villagers are going down here. Looking at Cheese right now, he's at 105 though. China's pretty insane in that regard, and the Abbasid are at 122, so their economy is a little bit stronger. But again, you also have to account for the 20% extra resources from officials, so they can play from behind. But this is a pretty big massacre, and I don't know if he sees this. Looks like he's very hyper fixated on the battering rams up here, and he did do good fending off those Lancers. And you know, 900 wood worth of rams is going to accomplish absolutely nothing. But on that same note, there was a massive massacre down here as the Abbasid troops were able to torch that, so Pretty brutal little situation, but China's going to pull back, and if anybody can recover from that, it's going to be China. They're still at 92 economy, so they should be able to get that back. But man, oh man, yeah, the very, very slow Chinese artillery army. This is just straight up mass nest of bees. This is a Nicolas Cage build all up in this game right now. Yeah, look at that. They're getting walled in, although this wall never got finished, and there is going to be a keep coming up. So a single keep here will control the sacred site. And I feel like it's only a matter of time before the sacred sites are going to be taken. There are 3 on this map. It's hard to control them for sure, especially considering they're very, very spaced out. But with China having a very immobile army, which is artillery focused, I think sacred site play is going to be a little bit stronger. So maybe the clock towers are going to go after these. We'll see. Now, what is going to be the secondary unit? You can just spam only artillery, but overall, yeah, there's got to be something else. And this makes sense. Okay, this is going to be Fire Lancer and artillery, which is a very powerful combo. So China has reached the Imperial age ahead of the Abbasid, and the Spirit Way reduces the cost of Dynasty units. So what you do is you get reduced cost Fire Lancers. They only cost 14 wood and 14 gold, and you can snipe landmarks. And against the Abbasid, this is like gross, because you can go and take out the House of Wisdom and Town Center like instantly with enough, and you can really win the game in a flash of a pan or blink of an eye. But more and more ram pressure being put on, which is good. Map control again going to the red player here, going to SimTom, as he is getting pretty good resources across the map. He's got keep set up here, he's got keep set up here, and a keep set up here on the other sacred site. So he's going to be getting massive sacred control. So this is like classic Turtle China playing against, of course, a huge map control, booming triple TC Abbasid late game, which is very, very interesting. Of course, China has a massive advantage in the late game. Their their units are just better. They're unique units, right? Like the Fire Lancers, the Bombards. But Abbasid, can fight back against that by getting massive map control like this. And I think that's one of the reasons why this has been a relatively close game so far. She's pretty far ahead on score, though. That's a ton of nest of bees. And it looks like they're going to be working down that stone wall there. We do actually have a couple battering rams in the shadows. So the first of the imams are popping out, and they're going to be jumping on sacred sites all over the map. In terms of relics, let's take a look. Yeah, we got 2 relics here. Does China have any relics themselves? Looking around, I'm not seeing it, but now we got Fire Lancers coming out. And this has really been the emerging meta for China, has basically been to go artillery backed by Fire Lancers. And Fire Lancers are pretty much good against everything with good micro. Their explosive damage can take down armor with proper cycle charging. The main thing is just making sure they don't stay in sustained combat. So you cycle charge, you hammer your opponent, you blast them with artillery, you rinse and repeat, and it's very, very hard to stop. Typically you'll see Spearmen, but Spearmen of course can get wrecked by the nest of bees. So one sacred site has been taken here. And China has not gone for trade yet. They still have gold, so they have time. They're not like in the danger zone quite yet. There's a gold operation out here as well, so they're not in huge trouble in terms of map control yet, but they will be soon if they don't make some sort of a play. So a couple spearmen here look to be able to push that down. Looking at Cheese's economy, let's take a look here. He is at 117, and the Abbasid are probably around the same amount, 124. Typically, you don't want to go over like 120. Like 120 to 130 is probably a little bit much because your army is going to be too small, but I think 120 is a pretty good spot. And once you bank resources, I like to cut down to 100 myself. But again, these players are far better than I am, so you can kind of see what they do and go from there. So sacred sites being set up, more and more walls from the SimTom as he starts to control the map. And here we do have sacred sites and sacred sites being taken across the board. The middle sacred site hasn't been pushed yet. The camels are veteran camel archers. They do have the horse unease, the camel unease, which will actually minimize the damage of the fire lancers a little bit, which I think is quite cool. We'll reduce it by 20%, which adds up, especially when you're looking at all of that AoE. It looks like the imam here is kind of hanging out on the other side of the walls. Homeboy's gonna have to get active, but this is where things get very, very scary. China is starting to get their bombard cannons, which of course are middle linebackers. However, they don't have the upgrades yet. They don't have the siege works, so they don't have that crazy amount of HP yet. But they are going after the keeps here, and it looks like the Abbasid going to be moving in with a couple horsemen, looking to try and torch that. But that's not going to go well for these guys, as they will get Nicolas Cage here pretty hard. Fired down by the nest of bees, and it looks like we're going to be having an apocalyptic fight going on here pretty soon. It looks like the tension is building as the Fire Lancer Legion. This feels like it's going to be a landmark snipe attempt. There's a shit ton of those guys, and this keep will hold for now. One bombard can be repaired through. Ooh, look at this. We do have a culverin. Very, very nice. So a culverin coming out from the Abbasid. However, you can see here the Cheese Master is ready for it. He's going to be moving in, but the Fire Lancers have now been revealed. So I would imagine the Abbasid are going to have some sort of a response for this, but that culverin is 100% going to die. Or they're just going to go for the landmark. Oh, they're going for it. Where's the army? Oh, man. And the army's moving in. This is really stressful. I can tell you from experience. This is just, especially when you're playing Abbasid, it is just tense. So they're moving in. Man, this is so scary. And here comes the Fire Lancers moving across the map. Probably going to be pouring in after the TC. Okay, they're looking for the real TC. They found it. It's going to take them a hot minute to kill it. But again, the Abbasid were on top of it pretty quick. So they're going to have time to react. Oh, look at this. The Wolo Low is coming. I love this. This is great because every second counts here. And yeah, he's going to go down, but like that bought quite a bit of time. But yeah, the scooting and shooting here. Oh, this is so foul. Going after the one huge weak point of the Abbasid, which I feel like should be changed somehow. I don't really know how you would, but it's such a feel bad thing. Anyways, the Fire Lancers are surrounding here, and House of Wisdom is paying the price. You're going to have to pull villagers for mass repairs, and villagers are being pulled right now, but this is kind of becoming an all-in from China. Like, if this doesn't work, yeah, they are getting villager kills from this, so maybe it's not as much of an all-in as I suspect, but yeah, it looks like the Abbasid are going to be able to hold that, so the Fire Lancers are forced back. A ton of spears rallied in this direction, and now they're going to move in, and many of the Fire Lancers are going to be paying the iron price. So that was a very tense. I mean, both the House of Wisdom and the TC got brought down. Maybe it would have been a little bit better to try and finish one of them off and come back for round 2 later, because it takes a long time to repair the House of Wisdom. But overall, that was some big damage. But yeah, very scary situation. Apparently was not enough Fire Lancers, but Simtom does take a little bit of a lead. He's got triple culverin now, so that will be very good against Chinese bombards. And it looks like, yeah, it's going to be bombard spam. We got more Fire Lancers coming out, so thankfully for the Abbasid, those Fire Lancers were not with the main army. And do we have university upgrades? Yeah, it looks like on the flank there was some battering ram pressure as a little bit of a distraction, but the Chinese are able to get Fire Lancers, and they immediately dispatch that. So more and more Fire Lancers moving out across the map. There are a fair amount of spears. Spears, of course, can do okay against these as long as they don't get caught in like the big AoE explosion there. And the Abbasid forces are now going to be engaging the Fire Lancers in a choke, and they did not get their charge. That was a pretty unfortunate little engagement for the Chinese. They're going to want to pull back right there, which they do. And all the sacred sites have now been taken by Simtom. We have the triple culverin, and as long as, I mean, yes, the bombard cannons can trade better. Chinese bombards can outtrade culverins if they have their upgrades, but without them, which they don't have right now, the culverins are going to be able to outtrade them pretty heavily. So Fire Lancers moving in look like they're going to be going to try and shut down this side of the map, which is good because then China can secure control of this gold vein for themselves. So here the keep's going to be going down very quickly. Keeps are not good at fending off Fire Lancers. Granted, burning oil is pretty good for getting big splash damage, but yeah, it's so stressful when those bad boys start riding around the map. It is definitely anxiety inducing, but I think just trying to hold the sacred sites is going to be a good plan here. But yeah, once again, the Fire Lancers getting pretty good eco damage. Simtom sitting at 119, and the Chinese probably sitting at the exact same number, 101, so a little bit less. But that is allowing him to get these bigger Fire Lancer armies. And now they're moving into the base for round 2. Round 2, snipe. So they're going to be moving into the base, probably going after the landmarks, or maybe going to be looking to do some eco damage this time, which they're actually doing a pretty good job. So well played by the Cheese here, hunting these guys down. But also an amazing amazing play from Simtom. He's been doing an outstanding job keeping up with this because it is a very tough thing to stop. The town center here would be probably a pretty good target to snipe as well because the second town center doesn't have the 7,000 HP. It only has like 3,000. So you can kill it pretty quick. But yeah, really, really nasty Fire Lancer harass. This is pushing on all sides. And back in the base, it looks like the culverins, though, are getting the edge on the Chinese artillery. Like, bombard cannons are dying. It looks like a lot of the clock tower nest, the bees have fallen. Fire Lancers going to be moving in on these, but they did do a decent job, but are going to be paying the iron price now. So, yeah, looking to be a very, very back and forth game, but will China run out of gold is the question. So here are more Fire Lancers in the back of the base. Up here we have some as well, but it looks like oh, we're getting Camel Riders! Dude, sign me up! So we actually are seeing Camel Riders in a high-level competitive game. If I'm not mistaken, these guys are sitting in the top 100. So this is a pretty, serious game. But we're seeing Camel Riders. Like, what planet is this? Camel Rider meta against the Fire Lancers, perhaps. They have a huge HP pool, so maybe that's the answer here. But Chinese Bombards and Fire Lancers pushing them back. On this side, the Camel Riders as well as the Spear Legion are able to shut down the gold of the Chinese. And I really do think that's going to end up being a big deciding factor is the fact that gold is going to be running out for China. They never set up trade. They have 2 idle relics here which haven't been captured. Understandably, it's been very tense. And here comes the Camel Riders fighting. What the hell is this? Are we seeing Camel Riders in a high-level game? I can't believe this. Look at this. They're actually doing good. They're chasing back the Fire Lancer army. However, they took some substantial splash damage, so we'll see how that goes for them. But, dude, I'm so excited. This game is so good. It is so good. So looking around the map, China was not able to get that gold. Their bombard cannons are not high in numbers. It looks like they have 3 right now, which is pretty good. And are they going to be mixing in other units? It does not look like it. It's going to be Fire Lancers backed by bombards still. And Camel Riders are, let's see where they are. Yeah, they're kind of banked here on the sacred sites. And the sacred timer is ticking, man. I mean, they don't have too much time left. It looks like the Abbasid going to be doing some sort of a push here on the flank. China does have the Barbecue of the Sun as well as a keep here, so I don't know how impactful this will be. We're certainly going to have to defend this. So one bombard cannon might get caught out, but bombards are, of course, basically mobile tanks, so they can move faster than the cavalry and get away there. And the Fire Lancers do move in, but there's a lot of spears, and obviously the Camel Unease is lowering their damage by 20%, which is pretty neat. The other Camel Riders moving in from the other side. Oh, the Camel Sandwich! Going to be piling in. The Fire Lancers do not get the optimal charge, therefore their AoE damage doesn't pop off, and they're looking like they're getting pushed into the base real good like. Many of the villagers also being picked off, as some of the bombard cannons are torched down by spearmen. And China really not able to kind of unify its army. I feel like mixing in a couple spears or some sort of units other than Fire Lancers would be really good here, because it seems like the Fire Lancers can't protect the artillery. They're not quite getting that juicy charge that they need to just dominate the game, right? But again, the landmark snipe is always on the table to keep here. Does not have burning oil yet, so that's pretty unfortunate. That could be doing a ton of AoE damage, but China's probably going to win this fight here. Should be able to push them back. They have the keep here. They also have an outpost, which does have, I believe, either a springald or a hand cannon replacement. And China does push them back, but the Abbasid have got to be crushing them on resources. Taking a look here, Cheese is doing very good on food, but his gold per minute is in the pits of hell right now. He has been contained in his base. Therefore, he's going to be able to make Fire Lancers, but probably no more bombards. Like, he'll be able to make a couple more just from taxation. But overall, the map control is really starting to pay huge dividends now, as the Abbasid are able to push them back with the Camel Riders. And they're doing pretty good, and yeah, they can keep attrition in. You know, they can keep playing this attrition game, just sending in troops after troops. Fire Lancers are going to be going for one last cheese attempt, it looks like. I think they're going to be riding for the main base. Oh, but the stone walls are being built. The Abbasid trying to keep them at bay. Stone walls are probably the best counter against Fire Lancers because they cannot attack them. But I don't think this wall is going to be getting up in time. Fire Lancers will be rushing through and going for this. How many do we have here? We got 37, guys. This could be the end of the Abbasid. I don't know how they're going to hold this. They do have a keep back here. And villagers can, of course, repair. All the villagers are being pulled. This is do or die right here. And now they're coming back to the base. More and more Fire Lancers coming in. Battering rams and cannons and culverins over here. Trying to push the Chinese base, but oh my god. This would be so painful to go like this. There are Camel Riders. The keep is going. And the TC is going to get demolished here. But the House of Wisdom in its final age does have 22,000 health. So it does take some time to snipe. But overall, the Fire Lancers might be able to do it. Villagers repairing the TC is a good call. Perhaps, although no, I think at this point you got to go for the House of Wisdom, because like if you can get it back up before they can kill the House of Wisdom. So the spears have made it back. The last ditch attempt from the Fire Lancers on top of the House of Wisdom. Are they going to be able to get it? Does not look like it. The keep is wearing them down. The villagers are repairing through a lot of the DPS, and now the Abbasid Spearman Legion has made it back, and that's going to be a victory for Simtom and the Abbasid. Man, what a crazy good game. That was really, really fun to watch. The Abbasid did an excellent job getting map control, and in the end, they were able to survive some very, very scary attempts to snipe their landmarks, which of course most people who play that Civ are used to facing, so clearly he was. So very GG. That was a super fun match. I always like to see those underdog Civs do well against some of the big dogs, as they say. So I was spectating from somebody else's profile, so unfortunately without digging all the way back there, I'm not going to be able to find the results. But overall, really, really good game, and hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I think that was really cool. We even got to see Camel Riders actually be effective against the Fire Lancers, so it's really cool to see a unit that is widely perceived as absolutely terrible, which generally they are, but against perhaps Fire Lancers and the meta of Fire Lancers sniping your landmarks, maybe they're not a bad supplement, because reducing their damage by 20% when they're hitting for like 40 against your landmarks is pretty good. That's going to be like, what, like 8 less damage or something? So that's not bad. That adds up. So GG, well played. We'll see you guys next time. Let me know if there's any civs that you feel are underrepresented that you would like to see on the channel, and I'll do my best to cast some games. Take care of yourselves. Well played to GG Simtom as well as the FTW Cheese. Yes, I got their names right for once. And that is it for now. You guys take care of yourselves, and we'll see you on the other side.